Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the press. You are here again to discuss on the national issues related to politics and the economy. First and foremost, let me start with the Supreme Court judgment which was delivered by their lordships, the 7 justices of the Supreme Court of Nigeria, that is the Affairs Court of Nigeria. I want to commend the courage and the professional foresight of the learned jurist on how to uphold the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And the decision of the Supreme Court today has clearly demonstrated that nobody is above the law of the land. The Supreme Court has granted an interim order restraining the federal government, Attorney General of the Federation, and the President from taking any further step on the new Naira design policy. But the Attorney General of the Federation and the President and the Governor of Central Bank and other deposit money banks ignored the interim order granted by the Supreme Court of Nigeria. And Mr. President went ahead to demonstrate an impunity against the Constitution of Nigeria. But I'll go ahead to address Nigerians on the national broadcast that the 200 Naira note should be reissued and recirculated in the economy as a legal tender. And went ahead to announce that 500 Naira, 1,000 Naira remains the old 1,000 Naira and 500 Naira 6-2 serve as legal tender. But with today judgment of the Supreme Court, which the 3 governors initiated, His Excellency Bello Matola Maradun, and His Excellency Malam Nasir El-Rufai, and His Excellency Governor Yahya Bello, and the 7 others who were also joined as a plaintiff in the suit, have secured a judgment against the federal government. And from the announcement of the court delivered a judgment today, 3rd March 2023. And in its judgment, the court categorically stated that the 500 Naira note, 1,000 Naira denomination old notes remains a legal tender in Nigeria. Both the new Naira designed and the old Naira should concurrently coexist from today to December 31st, 2023. I urge Mr. President, who is the Commander-in-Chief of Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who is supposed to be also a custodian of law and order in Nigeria, and the Attorney General of the Federation, and the Governor of Central Bank, and other deposit money banks to respect the rule of law, to abide by the decision of the Supreme Court, which is the Affairs Court of the land. So the Supreme Court has spoken, and every Nigeria must also accept that decision of the Supreme Court. Any attempt not to obey the decision of the Supreme Court is an impunity It's a recklessness, it's a disloyalty to the nation. And anybody who does not respect the decision of this Supreme Court, he doesn't wish Nigeria well, and is calling for anarchy and chaos in the country. This new era scarcity have put a lot of Nigerians in starvation, hunger, disease, poverty, which it has highly had been a serious disastrous to the standard of living of average Nigerian. So I want to use this medium to commend the justice of the Supreme Court for upholding the rule of law in Nigeria. Because in the decision of the Supreme Court, they have clearly announced that the Central Bank 2007 Act was violated by the Governor of Central Bank. And also in the pronouncement of the Supreme Court, they have clearly lambasted the federal government for not obeying the order of the Central Bank, which granted an interim order before the final determination of the case. So I call on all Nigerians to respect the decision of the Supreme Court. I call all businessmen and women to accept the all naira not as a legal tender in the day-to-day business transactions in their businesses. Then on the issue of politics, election, presidential election, senatorial election, and the House of Rep election has come and gone. Many states, the result of election was collated, announced, and declared. It is very unfortunate where a sitting governor, who happens to be a lawyer, who happens to be a beneficiary of judicial struggle, the governor of Edo State, governor of Bayelsa State, governor of Delta State, governor of Adamawa State, governor of Sokoto State, Atinsi State, went to court calling for cancellation of presidential election. They have clearly shown that ignorance of Nigerian Constitution or Electoral Act 2022 as amended. Nigerian Constitution and the Electoral Act 2022 has clearly mentioned, provided the way and the manner you will seek redress after the declaration of the result. I wonder why Governor of Sokoto State, who happens to be a Speaker of the Federal House of Representatives, lawmaker, who took part in the enactment of 2010 Electoral Act, and who has been a lawyer, a sitting governor for good 8 years, will now, because of the desperation, try to ignore the provisions of the Electoral Act 2022 as amended and the provision of the Constitution. They don't have any jurisdiction to challenge the outcome of the presidential election. Governor Aminu Waziri Tambol and other governors are not candidate of PDP, neither candidate of Labour Party or APC or NNPP or any other political party. So they have no any locus to approach Supreme Court seeking for cancellation of the just concluded presidential election, which was already collated, announced, and declared, and the Chibola Ahmed Tinubu has been returned with lawful, majority lawful board as the president-elect of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. If somebody will now tell me, even in my dreams, that Governor Aminu Waziri I knew, who happens to be a lawyer, will approach a court, Supreme Court, calling for cancellation of presidential election, I will never believe it. That somebody who is ignorant of the law of the land will behave that way. But they have now turned themselves as a laughing stock. And they are now trying to show Nigerians that they don't know the content and the letters of Nigerian Constitution or Electoral 2022 as amended. I call on Aminu Waziri and the other governors to respect the rule of law and to respect the relevant electoral laws. Atiku Abubakar, under the Act and under the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, is the only person who can approach the court, constituted election petition tribunal, to seek redress, or his political party. But under this act, unless and until if the Constitution of Nigeria is amended. But somebody who doesn't have a locus will now just come as enforcer or an interloper to come and go to court just for undue political recognition. It's a waste of time, waste of government treasury, and also diversionary. So it has no any meaningful effort. If at all Peter Obi and Labour Party are learning from them, will you now teach your son to go and be fighting legitimacy? Something which is legal, you now make him to go and be fighting something which is illegal. You have something legal, you want him to go and be fighting something legal instead of fighting illegal. Do you want your son to go and be fighting something illegitimate instead of illegitimate? This is uncalled for. The leaders should lead by example. That is my position on that issue. So on the issue of the governorship election, I call on all the candidates in the next 11 March governorship election should not behave the way and the manner some of the coalition agents we saw on the telly, how they behave, or their candidates. I call on all the governors to make sure that this election, they should give a room where the election should be conducted under free and fair environment and also balance-free environment. Because this suit filed by these governors, they are trying to truncate the next process of the election. Because there is election in Adamawa, there is going to be a governorship election in Adamawa, in Delta State, and also in Sokoto State. But going by this way they are going, approaching Supreme Court to cancel election, it means it has some political undertone. Because they are trying to overheat the polity in their state of jurisdictions. That is the agenda. Because calling for cancellation as a sitting governor, under which constitution, under which laws? That's it. So I call on all the law-abiding citizens of this country to remain calm and also to be security conscious against the conduct of 11 March gubernatorial and State House Assembly election.
Thank you, sir.
Question?
Yes.
Let me take it clearly. President is the product of Nigerian Constitution. And each and every citizen of Nigeria must respect each and every letters of Nigerian Constitution, irrespective of status, whether a president or governor or member of House of Representatives or anybody, as far as you are a Nigerian, you must abide by the decision of the courts, because courts also are the product of constitution. It's clearly stated in Nigerian constitution. The supremacy of the constitution overrides over and any individual. So it is a civic responsibility. 100 naira denomination note should be reissued and recirculated by central bank. That one, this is an addendum to that press conference. This decision of the Supreme Court is an addendum. He has already, among the denomination of the money which was ceased to exist after the expression of the deadline on 30 February, 200 naira is among that denomination. And Mr. President, after the broadcast, now the arrest central bank to reissue and recirculate 200 naira not into circulation. But with the decision of this Supreme Court, it's an addendum to his broadcast that now the Supreme Court ordered that 500 naira note and 1,000 naira old note remain a legal tender. They should coexist with the new naira notes. That is new 200 naira note, 500 naira note, 1,000 naira note till 31st December 2023. So let me now give you an insight. The Central Bank of United Kingdom, they design pounds, but the pounds coexist with the old pounds notes as a legal tender. And gradually, 2007 have made it clear in summary that it is only the Mr. President who has the right to approve the new naira design of Nigeria. So you must hold him responsible. He is responsible for that. But on the issue of what I'm trying to tell you, that Pele have not advised Mr. President very well. And Pele have demonstrated that he doesn't know the concept of managerial economics. And he doesn't know the concept of what we call managerial or economic finance. If he is very conversant with what we call economic finance, this thing could have not messed off. Because the advantage of the designing naira policy is greater than the disadvantage. But the way and the manner, the old naira notes cease to be a legal tender in circulation. That is what brings this hardship. Even in 1984, we have not experienced what we have experienced. When he designed the currency about 39 years ago, I was in the secondary form 3. So it's very unfortunate. If now he will ill-advise Mr. President, he needs an economic think tank, strong national economic team that will advise him on the consequences of the limitation of time for this thing, demonetization of the old naira note. That's it. The good is no any country in the land that doesn't have monetary policy, and that monetary policy is driving the economy to improve. But this thing, if you look at it, you will see the indices or statistics, the gross domestic product have reduced drastically, and the velocity of naira in circulation. In economy, that's what we call velocity of circulation. When you went and buy pure water at 1,000 naira, then the owner of pure water factory will pay workers with that 1,000 naira. He will go to market and buy food. He will go to station and bill station. People will be touching that 1,000 naira. There was no velocity or circulation on the currency because there's not much currency in circulation. So a lot of small businesses have ceased to exist. So that's it. And the gross domestic product have drastically reduced from about 2-3 months ago. And the income per capita dropped. That is what we are saying. Because when you are going to calculate the indices for the gross domestic product, you have to make this calculation. Income per capita. That is the velocity of money in circulation, a lot of indices. Then that is why you have a developed or underdeveloped economy. But now everything has crashed.
As a political people in some state, so what can you say to people of some state now that the rule have been concluded into the final stage? Maybe many people in some states know you very well and you know the nation, the economy and everything how you are explained to us here. Sir, the common man in our villages, in our cities, and the other banks, maybe in Zamfara and other cities, how can we identify or talk to the people through the market policy, how the transaction is going to be made between the poor and the marketers and the business people, sir?
It's very simple. What we need is public enlightenment. And that should be an intensive enlightenment that this policy of demonetization have been reviewed by the Supreme Court. When there is the governor, about 2-3 weeks ago, governor of Jigawa, governor of Kaduna State, governor of even Edo State, governor of Zamfara State, a lot of governors were encouraging traders to be accepting the old notes. But they were so adamant. But now the outcome of the decision of the Supreme Court, they have a right to collect the money, and the Supreme Court have made unconditional that the banks in the judgment, the banks should allow depositors to have access to their money in their various bank accounts without limitation. Without limitation, because when you go to bank, you will give a check or withdrawal slip. They will give you 20,000 or 5,000. Now with the decision of this court, the court said no limitation to withdrawal. Once you present a check of 500,000, 100,000, 150,000, no limitation. You should have access to your funds as far as the money is deposited into the account. So what we are calling on the register of the Supreme Court, tomorrow they should serve Emipele, they should serve Buhari, they should serve Malami, and other dependents on the suit, that is deposit money banks. So let us see when they serve them, whether they will obey or they will not disobey. Then we will now tell Nigerians to go against them. That's it.
So about my question, another question.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I asked you the question.
Which of the question? Falsehood and mischievous, trying to misdirect, mislead, misinform their supporters, which is in a normal life, even being a Muslim, it is against my religion to mislead or to mischievously, dubiously deceive anybody. So they are, who is deceiving who? No, not politician. Not every politician you now call is a deceiver. It's very unfortunate if somebody who is a journalist will sit down and say politician is dubious. It's very unfortunate at your age. You understand? If you are a dubious, you understand? You cannot say everybody is a dubious. Even people who are not politicians are dubious. Are poor niners. You understand? So are low breakers. So, but people are looking at politics as a dirty game because of the good people who claim to be a good people like you refuse to join politics. And that is why the system remains to continue to be polluted. You understand? A holy prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, follow the bad deeds with good deeds, so that Abuja